you very much for being back. And if you just joined us, you're still on to Enterprise Morning, reaching you from Enterprise Television. Let's get talking on our main conversation for today. The Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board has announced that it will, on Wednesday, release the results of 379,000 candidates who sat the rescheduled Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination between Friday and Monday. JAMB rescheduled the exam following widespread outcry over mass failure during the initial UTME. The board admitted to technical and human errors, especially in Lagos and the southeast states, which significantly affected candidates' performance. Out of the 1.9 million candidates who sat for this year's UTME, over 1.5 million scored below 200 marks out of a possible 400, prompting widespread concerns among stakeholders. In another story, we have it that the Minister of Education, Tunji Alausa, has urged tertiary institutions across the country to phase out satellite campuses, describing them as unsustainable and inefficient. Speaking on Friday at the Tertiary Education Trust Fund one-day strategic engagement with heads of institution, bursaries and directors of procurement in Lagos, Alausa said the federal government was determined to streamline tertiary education for improved efficiency and value. Now let's get talking, Emeka. We have two stories in one. Let's start from with the JAMB issue. Tomorrow, I guess Wednesday to Friday, the results of those who sat for the receipt will be out. But just before we get talking, I actually was there. I did a little bit of investigative work. I went to one of the centers situated in Ogba, to get to see what they were doing. As at 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. that same day, they were still there. And one would wonder, don't you think the receipt in itself is even more disturbing to the students? Because till about 7 p.m. they were still there.
Yeah, it was to be expected, that this kind of problem, that this kind of problem would pop up during the receipt, because it was just a few days. All of these things started was not around the 7th or so, 12th of May, before the whole thing snowballed into a big crisis. I think 7th, then the whole thing blew up 12th of May, and all of that. So there wasn't adequate time for preparation, and then excuse me, JAMB blamed contractors, blamed human error. And then some analysts have tried to rationalize what happened. That if you look at in India, there was a mass failure when India set a test, through CBT, computer-based test. And then the same thing happened with the widely acclaimed, US SAT exams, so that this same thing happened, so that when you have to use technology over a wide stretch of territory or a large number of people, that it's that there's a possibility of glitches. But a stakeholder in the tertiary education sector who owns Educare, Mr. Alex Onya, said we should not call it glitches. That was human error. So that glitches will presuppose that it was an error occasioned by the malfunctioning of the system. But I know it was human error. So I think what is being. Did
he give Emeka? Did he provide specifics to the human error? Because when we talk about human error, what are we talking about here? Are we saying that people that were in control really allowed it happen for a particular reason that we do not know yet?
No, maybe they relied so much on the contractors, on the competence of the contractors. And then the contractors also did not provide sufficient safeguards for their back ends. When you have such things, you have to, look at your, refreshing. You have to look at your updating. You have to look at your back end. You have to look at your sourcing. Your sourcing system. You have to look at your patches. You have to look at those things. And if you had that error, for 16 sessions, session 1 to 16, it was by the 17th one that it was detected and corrected. Then that means that those who are supposed to have the oversight of the proper functioning of the system did not do their jobs. So when we, just like talking about the adoption of AI and all of that, you will still need significant human element, human involvement in all of these things. Otherwise there will be chaos. You saw the other day, was it last month, when a glitch in the power system, Europe affected some countries, shut down flights, shut down, even last year there was something, down flights across many airports.
Yeah.
So the human element is still very, very important. So if we're to believe, because the JAM registrar, Professor Ishak Olede, said it was sabotage. Mr. Alex Onya said it was human error. So between both of them, I think it was maybe what we can call negligence, or maybe we can call it incompetence, maybe, So, and that's why you saw people there till 7, because they were asked to come again by 6:30 for accreditation, and then the questions, the candidates talked about, those who researched talked about tougher questions, they talked about malfunctioning systems, the same problems you had in the original exam. So I think JAM needs to look into all of these things. No system is perfect, we agree. But you see, in carrying out such an onerous assignment, onerous responsibility, you have to realize that, you must do your best to limit, your error threshold as much as possible. So that is very important.
Very, very true. So very important. But I would love you to speak on the allegation by Southeast senators in the 10th Assembly, stating that this was a direct attack on the people of the southeast of Nigeria. It was a targeted attack on students from the southeast of Nigeria. Do you still submit to what they say, Emeka?
Well, I would agree with them to an extent that this human error or sabotage or whatever have largely affected the southeast, even though it affected candidates in Lagos, but it was so much in the southeast. And what kind of error, what kind of human error led to that? So you see, that's why it's important for people to be diligent at their duties, because one error can actually be misconstrued to mean something else. And you can't blame those who are thinking like that, because if it had affected the southwest states, of course, people will be saying, yes, that there was an agenda against southwest. If it had affected the north central or the northeast or the northwest, or the south, people would have said the same thing. So, and what even stoked that suspicion was the careless statement by the Minister of Education, Tunji Alausa, who said it was due to JAM's anti-malpractice system, which was not true. There was no need for him to have said that. There was no need, because he didn't have proof. He didn't have evidence. Where did he get that information from? He is not working with JAM, even though he's the Minister of Education. But he's not a staff of JAM. So that was what actually sparked the whole thing. And then you saw people on social media trying to say, yes, that the Southeast is the headquarters of examination malpractice. This is very wrong. You see, people should be very careful when they say some of these things, because it might look like you are just trolling, but what you are doing is that you are setting the potential for a conflict that might consume people's careers, or even consume lives, or even put the nation in jeopardy. So people should be very, very careful, because it's not just enough for you to have a phone or access to social media. You must also be responsible, digitally responsible. What you know you cannot substantiate, don't come out to start saying, yes, the Southeast is the headquarters of malpractices. It's wrong. And And that was what stoked all of this. But you see, the only way you can avoid such allegations is by doing your job diligently. The JAMB staffers who are supposed to have the oversight of the contractors should sit up. And make sure that in future examinations, we don't have such a thing. And of course, let's remember it's one country. It is one country. JAMB actually messed up big time. I mean, those who are trying to excuse them are just laughing at them. You know, you don't know that this has to do with the future of young people because it didn't affect you. You know, somebody was saying that it affected his twin boys. You know, just took it so casually. And I said, let me tell you, if those boys saw that comment, they may not forgive you for making such a reckless comment for whatever it's worth. So JAMB messed up big time, and I hope they correct themselves as quickly as possible. Thank you.
Very, very true. We hope that they're correct. And another important fact, I think we should maybe use the opportunity to let JAMB know, because we have stories. I'm just going through a story of a young girl who said that she could not find her CBT center that was written on the slip that she had. It wasn't really direct until someone else helped her to, Google it just before they found where the CBT center was. I think this is an open call for JAMB to be very detailed about some of the things they say. It's not just good enough to say go to a CBT center without addressing it and letting the candidates know the exact point where it is, because all of these things have a way of affecting the morale of those who are sitting for the exams. But Emeka, let's take a look at other matters. You talked about the Tunji Alausa, and we have it here that he said that all satellite campuses around the country should be closed down. I do not know what Tunji Alausa is so fixated on not working with what has been established, but very good at completely wiping out what has been there without going through the books to really understand if those things are necessary. So do you think that the closure of satellite campuses is a good deal?
I think Tunji Alausa is not a stakeholder in the education sector. He's just a nephrologist. So his pronouncements, his naive pronouncements have only shown that he doesn't even know anything about the sector. And I think the president will need to look into the man's competence to head that ministry. Because he has just been causing so much confusion with his, knee-jerk pronouncements. I mean, was he not the one who said the other day that 6334
yes,
should be scrapped?
Yes.
He's just making recommendations. You are the minister. You should first of all meet with vice chancellors. Before talking about satellite campuses, you should meet with vice chancellors. Sit down with them. Discuss with them. Convene a meeting of vice chancellors, a meeting of NUC. It's like the man even lacks basic administrative competence. Because ordinarily, that's the way it should go. If you're an administrator, before you make public pronouncements, there's a code of conduct. You must watch it. First of all, you consult with the ministry, with officials in the ministry. You now invite vice chancellors, you invite NUC, and you invite other stakeholders, and say, these satellite campuses, of what we would like to take an audit, we would like to look at it. What has it cost the government to fund these satellite campuses? Why do we still need to keep funding these satellite campuses? At least you talk from a background of knowledge. You don't just talk because some people, I think it appears that there are some people in the ministry or outside the ministry who are just misguiding that young man. That's what I see. They're just guiding him recklessly, and they will mess him up. They will mess him up if he's not careful. You don't just talk into the air. You have to be very careful. You have to be very careful with your comments, because people are watching, people are listening, and people are just laughing at what is this man talking about? You say satellite campuses are 12. Are they being run with governmental funds? You have to find out first of all. You have to look at how many people are using these satellite campuses. How many people are using them? Look at University of Lagos, for instance. They have a direct learning institute, and they have so many they have so many candidates. Are you going to now shut down DLI that has been there for so many years and give people access to tertiary education to get degrees? Are you not going to show that satellite campuses that has, that have enabled workers, primarily workers, to be able to access, education, to access tertiary education? I think, you see, that's why we talk about this nepotism of a thing. Just putting people there because they're your kinsmen, instead of their competence. Remember, the man was in the Ministry of Health. He was removed from there and brought to education. For what? Is health more important than education? I think the president should just remove that man and put somebody who is competent. That was the same problem that Buhari had. He had a journalist as a minister of education, but the man was just scoring off points. Simple issues, the ASU strike and all of that. He couldn't handle these things. He couldn't handle. In fact, sometimes he was not even in the country. As reports had it, and for a long time wasn't in the country. So is that the kind of person you will entrust with such a sensitive assignment as education? No. I think I'm calling right now for the man to resign or for Tinubu to remove him. Let him be replaced with a really competent person who understands the challenges of 21st century education. Because now we're talking about remote work, remote education. So why do people need to go to a university or a tertiary institution when they can take studies remotely, when they can take their lectures remotely? What are we talking about? So I think we need more competent people in positions of authority in Nigeria. Thank you.
Very, very true, Emeka. And just to let us know, Dr. Tunji Alausa, after graduating from the University of Lagos, where he studied medicine and surgery, he made himself available and was sponsored to the United States of America, where he had his master's and so many other studies in medicine, only for him to be brought into Nigeria to handle the Ministry of Health. And from there, he was diverted to the Ministry of Education. And one would wonder, is that how it truly does work? Is that how it is made possible in other parts of the world where education is numero uno, is used as priority for growing a country, growing its economy, and ensuring sustainability? Well, Emeka, you did say it right. Nepotism is one of the biggest issues we have. Having round pegs for square holes has been a very big problem for us, and I think we'll just have to end it at this particular point. Thank you so very much, Emeka, for being here. We truly do appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
All right, people, that's just the time we have. We'd love to say thank you to you also for making this a date with us. Please do well to visit us. If you may, you can always find us at enterprisetvnews.com, and also do well to visit us. If you may, you can always see us at Enterprise TV7. My name is Henry Igwebike. Thank you for watching. I'll see you tomorrow. welcome. This is Enterprise Morning, reaching you from Enterprise Television from the economic capital of Nigeria. My name is Henry Igwebike, and this is Enterprise Television. Let's get started, of course, starting with our newspapers, and right after that will be our main conversation. Also for today, please do well to be part of what we do. Have a say in what we say. You can always find and reach us at enterprisetvnews.com. You may equally like, comment, and follow us from all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. We're very so honored to have with us, joining us via Zoom from Lagos State, Nigeria, Emeka Madunago, journalist, public affairs analyst. Good morning to you, Emeka, and welcome.
Yeah, good morning. Hello, viewer.
Thank you so very much for your time. Now let's get cracking like this, starting with our first daily, and I think let's start with the Punch newspaper. We have the first story here. Marketers import 436 billion naira worth of petrol amid a row with Dangote. Global health at risk as a funding crisis hits WHO. And also, Tinubu 2027 bid. APC caught opposition governors with high stakes offers. And also, we have the writer to that particular story. Governors offered ministerial appointments, return tickets to nominate successors, NAS members, and others. 120 suspected Lagos internet fraudsters to face a trial. And also on the bottom strip, we have Nigerian teenagers' corpse recovered from Island River. And let's take a look at Tinubu's 2027 bid. The APC caught opposition governors with high stake offers. What are they actually talking about here?
Yeah, well, thank you. From what we can hear, it's that Tinubu's second term is what is preoccupied APC right now.
Okay.
It's not the hunger in the land. It's not the fact that many people cannot pay their rents or pay their children's school fees. It's not even the JAM fiasco that is bothering them. But it's about getting Tinubu re-elected by every means fair and foul, and then cutting governors with with second term tickets, and then those governors who will be rounding up their second term by 2027, promising them ministerial appointments and all of that. But you see, the thing is, if you remember, recently, Ibn Nala, a former senator, former member of the House of Representatives, he said that many former federal lawmakers can no longer pay their children's school fees. So all of these things are just fleeting. They're just a pie in the sky. They are not permanent. They're just temporary. So, I mean, for him to have said that, you can imagine all the money that lawmakers made, in previous times. Remember, it was then that, they were the ones who started these constituency projects. Yeah. And all other things that they enjoyed, perks of office, they increased their salaries. It actually started from 2002 when the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission said they could fix their salaries. And so, of course, they gave themselves humongous salaries, humongous allowances. So today, a member of the House of Reps is earning 21 million, a member of the Senate is earning 20 million every month. But even at that, what has it fetched them? Look at former governors. Look at former governors. Who knows about them? What are they really enjoying? Former ministers. Former ministers. What are they really enjoying? So you see, the thing is that this desperation, to just entrench, to continue bad governance. That is what, interests them. Tinubu reaching out to governors, don't worry, come, let's have lunch, let's have dinner, let's discuss, and then, of course, win them with all kinds of offers. It shows that Nigerians are not, they don't care about Nigerians, but they don't learn any lessons. Because what about those in the past, those who did such in the past, where are they today? Jonathan did his own, Obasanjo did his own, Yar'Adua didn't live long enough to pursue his second term, Buhari did his own, all kinds of promises. But how many of those promises were kept? If I recall in 2011, when Jonathan called Tinubu, then, and begged him to allow him to win Lagos in the presidential election, Yeah, Tinubu kept his side of the bargain, but did Jonathan keep his side of the bargain? The answer is no. That's why they fell out. And then Tinubu chose to go and support Buhari, excuse me, for the 2015 election instead of supporting Jonathan for 2015. Jonathan even fell out with Obasanjo, who supported him in 2011 against Atiku Abubakar, supported him, and then asked him, as was reported, that he should make one of his associates Minister of Defense or Minister of Interior. But that Jonathan didn't keep that promise, so Obasanjo turned against him. So the thing is that, you see, that's just what is motivating these governors. But most of all is the fear of EFCC, fear of prosecution. That, okay, if you don't support Tinubu, of course, your file will be open. But like Oshomole said, once you join APC, all your sins are forgiven. Even though I've been trying to deny it in recent times. So that's all there is to it.
It's actually a very, very scary situation there. When those in authority are slowly but surely buying up everyone and buying their consciences, buying everything, their loyalty, one would wonder if really 2027 would be decided by electorates and not those in power. But let's take a look at the Daily Trust newspaper for today also. How cost of passports, driver's license data shot up in 2 years. And also on the top strip here, insecurity, Navy to establish a special command in North Central 2027. Atiku Obi denied power sharing deal. And also on the bottom strip here, Zamfara residents flee homes at night, return by daybreak. Bandits kill 4 in Kogi. Another suspected kidnapper arrested on the way to Saudi Arabia for Hajj. And let's take a look at issue concerning the 2027 Atiku Obi merger. Yesterday it was all over newspapers that there is a plot by the coalition of Atiku and Obi, possibly Obi having the slot as the vice president, with Atiku desiring to go for one term. Of course, it's been denied now. Where do you think all of this rumor and information are coming from that they had made newspaper headlines, legacy newspaper headlines, that is?
Yeah, because there's nothing much to report now. So everybody's all eyes on 2027, which is a sad thing about the Nigerian media. We don't talk about the issues that matter. We just talk about, just politics. Governance has now, the media has actually helped politicians to relegate governance to the back burner. And they're talking about 2027. We've not even started implementing the 2025 budget. And then we're talking of 2027. So basically, some of those stories are just being pushed out from my investigation by APC, just trying to see, excuse me, they just threw one story out to see, how the opposition will respond and to try and know their plans. But Peter Obi has said that there's nothing like that, that he's not desperate for any position, that he's desperate, for good governance, that he's fighting against bad government. But you see the way these APC people are doing it, it shows they are too desperate. You show your hand first by pushing out fake stories into the media. Then you turn around again and you start insulting Obi and Atiku. It shows you that they are not even coordinated. Everybody just trying to show, because everybody wants to make money. That's all. They just want to make money. They just want to make money. Show Tinubu they are loyal. That's all. Peter Obi has said he is not in any coalition to discuss power with anybody. That is in a coalition for good governance. Why are you now, if you go on social media, you see people just showing all kinds of things. This is orchestrated. Why you demand says, I'm not interested. I saw one, confused fellow saying on, Facebook, why are you lying at your age? A man says he's not interested in something. You are saying, why is he lying at it? What kind of, what is really wrong with some of us Nigerians? What is it? If a man says he's not interested, you are asking him why he's lying. Are you inside his mind to know what he's thinking about? Are you inside his mind? So you see, that is why, because Nigerians, one, we've been so used to bad governance that, you know, we just allow politicians to use our brains. There is no power, we normalize it. The economy, the inflation is high, we normalize it. Roads are bad, we normalize it. What sort of a people are we? Obi and Atiku have said there is nothing like that, and it remains that. It remains that. I ask people, was it on yesterday? What we have even up to this morning, people were arguing. Peter Obi was not allowed into the Vatican. Tinubu's son was not allowed to shake the Pope. How does that affect the price of Gary? How?
Which is obviously
These
very
people are just
expensive.
bringing optics to distract you people. They brought the video of Tinubu's son being prevented from shaking hands with the Pope. So what? And so what? Obi was not allowed, just a clip of a few seconds. He was not allowed to the so how does that affect the price of fish? How does it make it possible for people to pay rent? And so what? So people now go to events with their cameras, you know, to be looking at who was bounced and who was not bounced. Does that show? Oh man, we are just a laughing stock. No wonder the world laughs at us, because the things that matter don't matter to us. It's a shame.
Really, a very big one, Emeka, because one would wonder why all over the world, newspaper houses, media organizations are actually there to ensure and also hold leaders to account, hold their feet to the fire and leave it right there. But that is not what we're doing. We're busy pursuing a shadow and things that are truly unnecessary. And one would wonder, is this the fourth realm of the state that journalism says it is? But let's take a look at Vanguard just before we leave it for today. 2027, yet again, 2027, why I am in coalition. That's coming from Peter Obi. Emeka, we just finished discussing, and of course, it's still a very big issue here. And right here, we have Vanguard stating yet again that 2027, why I am in coalition, and coming from Peter Gregory Obi. But let's take a look at other matters here. Akpoti Oduaha petitions IGP wants Akpabio Sandra Duru investigated. Tinubu can't afford renewed crisis in Ogoni by forceful oil resumption. Lots of interesting stories here. I just hope that we have all the time to talk about it. Capital market key to achieving $1 trillion dollar economy. Emeka, let's start with Akpoti Uduaha's petitions. IGP wants Akpabio and Sandra Duru investigated. Speak to us on that particular matter.
Well, what is there to say? It's just a continuing disgusting saga. You know, amidst our economic woes, the Sandra Duru, so-called Professor Gbeke, has been going up and down, making allegations and saying all kinds of things. Of course, people who know her background. And I'm surprised that the media is just giving people like this airtime, giving them space. You know, I had to caution a senior lawyer the other day. I said, don't get involved in this thing. I said, don't drag your name into this. Don't drag your name into this stuff, because he was praising Sandra Duru. I said, don't do it. Don't do it, because they will destroy your name. Look, the matter is in court. Why? So let the Sandra Duru go to court and testify on behalf of Akpabio. Why is she disturbing us? I thought there was a judge that gave an injunction that the senator should not grant any interviews. Senator Natasha should not grant interviews again. So why is there now a certain Sandra Duru granting interviews on behalf of Akpabio? What is going on? I think we should not be distracted. These people are very. You see these guys in government, they are smart propagandists. So they are smart propagandists. So they have enough rubbish to keep us distracted. We should have our eyes on the ball. All of this is just their personal all of this is just about their personal issues. It has nothing to do with Nigerians.
All right, Emeka.
Thank you.
Emeka, why would look at the personal issues on this particular front page, the Vanguard newspaper? Capital market key to achieving $1 trillion economy. Do you think it's possible for us to achieve a $1 trillion economy? If it is, how do you think we can go about making that possible? All right, I think we're still having a little bit of a glitch there. All right, so we'll, yes. Okay, are you there?
You mean, yeah, achieving $1 trillion economy?
Is it possible?
You see, the thing with these people is this: people throw up propositions without proper scientific analysis. Is it the capital market that has lost how much in recent days from profit taking? People are taking their profits. Some people are selling their shares. Some are holding their shares. How will you now be saying that it's the key to $1 trillion economy? It can be one of the keys, but not the only key. Because Nigeria is a big economy. And there are different sectors that, if well harnessed, can get us even beyond the $1 trillion economy. There are different sectors that can get us beyond that. Not just $1 trillion. I think $1 trillion is just the value of Google.
Yeah, exactly. Because I wanted to speak about that. That's just the valuation of one company, Microsoft.
Yes. Yeah, that's the value that Elon Musk to become the first dollar trillionaire in the world. But the point is this: the Nigerian economy is big enough, for us to try different angles. But it's not about achieving a $1 trillion economy. The fact is, how are you managing the one we have? That's the issue. How are we managing the one we have? How? We're not managing these things well. And we are borrowing. Excessive borrowing is also impinging on our ability to hit that $1 trillion economy. Then if you look at, so debt servicing is taking a lot of our revenues. Just imagine, what we paid back to the IMF, and we're still owing about $590 million on interest. They're going to pay from now to 2029. Now, convert that money to Naira and see because that loan was not necessary. Buhari just took that money and diverted the money into areas that the loan was not meant for. They used the loan to just be defending the Naira. That's it. So, if we are not taking that loan, of course, do you know how it would have eased up the pressure on our revenues? Then oil theft. Have we been able to tackle oil theft to the extent that we can now say yes confidently that we're moving towards a $2.2 million barrels per day? OPEC is talking of releasing over 400,000 barrels per day. In any moment from now. But our production is not up to that. It's just about 1.5 million barrels per day. And remember, we have a sharing formula 60-40. So the oil majors take 40, we take 60. So, and we just, we don't, there's no value addition. There's little local content going into all of this. So how are we now going to seriously say that we can achieve the $1 trillion economy? And don't forget the capital market they're talking about. You have a lot of briefcase, portfolio investors who just come, put in money. Then when they start looking at their it's like this economy, it's like the capital market, maybe, okay, this is time to repatriate. They remove their money and the market dips again. So I think people should be cautious when they make some of these pronouncements. They should look for researchers, data analysts, people who have who have cognate experience in these things and ask their opinion before just saying anything, you know, because if you make people go and, you know, if you deceive people like all these Ponzi schemes into throwing money into the capital market when it's not the right time, of course, it's not going to be a good thing. No? So let people be careful. And then I'll advise Nigerians, always seek the advice of experts before you invest your money in anything. Thank you.
Very, very true, Emeka. Thank you so very much. There's no gainsaying that every sustainable economy only is achievable when we have the right people leading the pace and directing our affairs. But when we do not have them, where there are a deficit of the right people for the right job, we would keep having, you know, fictional pronouncements and dreams that would be so very difficult to achieve. That's all we have for today. And just to let you know, Emeka will be here to take us on our main conversation, but that's when we return. Federal government moves to phase out satellite campuses, tightens a TETFund access. In a bit, it's still Enterprise Morning.